Hello, everybody. My name is Jim, and this is my reading wrap up for May 2024. I read 3 books from front to back, and I DNF'd one, but mostly I have been on a writing tear this month, and it's been awesome. I have been in such a good mood, just going through, adding more pieces to my story, and revising some that I didn't really like or I felt were contrived, fixing those. But they didn't bog me down either. So I've just been feeling good. I've been working on that. I haven't had much time for YouTube. So I'm really sorry for all my friends who I have not watched your videos or commented like I usually do. But like I said, I'm riding this wave. I feel like when this sort of inspiration comes, I just have to go with it. I'm taking advantage of this time. The wave's still going. I'm still surfing. So hopefully I can take this to the end. But this isn't about the writing. This is about the reading. I need to talk about the DNF first. The Hidden Life of Cecily Larson by Ellen Baker. I believe this is a new release this year in 2024. It covers a lot of topics that I typically enjoy. It covers the circus. It covers adoption. Not really, though. I mean, she was adopted by her circus family, but it wasn't like a traditional adoption if that's something that you're looking for, at least not in the little bit that I read. It's multi-POV, and it's multi-generational. So we have the grandmother, Cecily, we have her daughter, Liz, and then her granddaughter, Molly, and then her great-grandson, Caden, who does not get his own POV. Even though he has this genealogy project at school and is kind of the catalyst for this whole story, Cecily at this stage, at the present day, is in her 90s. I don't remember her exact age, but she does suffer a fall and she does end up in the hospital. And from there, it's almost dreamlike, going back in time and reliving her past. Cecily's introduction as a child was pretty heartbreaking. There was a lot of that I felt empathy for, and I really enjoyed Cecily as a character, at least in the beginning. Liz and Molly as points of view, they got a little bit jumbled, especially when they were first introduced. It took me a little bit of time to recognize them and realize who is who. That's another reason why I wish Caden had his own. I would have liked to have been in his mind with this project that he was working on. I just wonder how seriously he was taking this. And maybe if I would have read further, I would have gotten to know a little bit more. But I didn't really read too far in before I DNF'd because there was a villain who was introduced who was... Nothing happened, but there was a hint that he could be a child harmer. And I've read too many books recently that have had descriptions of young people that I didn't like, or, that's what the villain did to establish that they were a villain. And in fact, I read another book this month that included that sort of plot. And I was just sitting here like, I mean, yes, this sort of thing, horrible, it happens, but at the same time, it shouldn't be this easy way to make a villain. I think sometimes authors think of like what's the absolute worst thing that a villain could possibly do, but there are so many ways that somebody could be villainous, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that extreme. It could be something else. So I wasn't really feeling that. It kind of felt thrown in there to make the baddie bad, and that's when I stopped reading it. And it's unfortunate. I just don't think that the characters, too, I don't think that they really carried the book. I don't think they were as strong, especially, like I said, with Liz and Molly kind of being the same and running together. So I did have to stop, but the themes were enjoyable. I may pick this book up at another time and enjoy it a little bit more than I did and actually see it through. But unfortunately, right now I had to put it down. The next book on the list, and the first one that I finished, is Bad Men by Julie May Cohen. I read this as an ARC from NetGalley, and it was a pretty fun read. If you don't take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously, but I think a lot of people, I don't know, the main character, Safi, was pretty hot and cold, I guess, with some people. They did or they didn't like her. They did or they didn't like Jonathan, the love interest. But basically, Safi is a socialite. She's beautiful. She's wealthy, popular. But she is kind of a female Dexter in that she has a knack for finding men who do very bad things. And once she finds those men, she kills them. She is a serial killer on the side. People don't know this about her. Just thinking of that and thinking of Dexter and who she is and what she does, you do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit and just kind of go with it. I mean, it's presented as this kind of over the top, outlandish, crazy sort of book. I listened to the audio version of this, and the narrator did a very good job of kind of adding that bit of sass, and I don't know. She made it really fun, which I think was the intent. As I said, Safi is not the only character in this story. There's also Jonathan. I mean, there are other side characters too, but Jonathan is another point of view character. I think a lot of people did not appreciate his chapters as much. I think they wanted it to be a little bit more about Safi. And while Safi was more interesting and she had a lot more agency than Jonathan, I did appreciate getting inside Jonathan's head a little bit more because his life is crazy as well. His love life is on the rocks, and he is also this true crime podcaster who has suddenly found, and that's a mess. And so while being in his perspective and his point of view, you kind of get to see what's going on there and discover some of the people that he knows. Like I said, he's not as interesting, but at least he's not just a sack of potatoes that Safi has to pull along, and she doesn't have to carry the book all by herself. There were some flaws where I felt like Safi was all talk sometimes. I felt that she really liked to hype herself up a lot and not really, actually follow through. But also, there is a warning, a trigger warning. Like I said, with my Hidden Life of Cecily Larson review, there are people in this story who do those sorts of things that I don't like. They just tend to make more sense in Bad Men. But I will say that you should approach this book with caution because those are kind of included in the whole bad man situation. Those are some of the men that Safi identifies. It's not really a secret. It's in the plot summary. But yeah, I don't know. I had fun with it. You might not. I just thought it was a fun book. So I would recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald is another book that I read this month. Yes, I read a classic, and yes, I expected to be one of those people who said that this book was so overrated and not as good as people make it out to be. I would be wrong because I enjoyed it. If other people think it's overrated, that's cool, but I did actually like it. This was a book that, I could have read in high school, but I never did. I ended up doing a book report on The Catcher in the Rye instead. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Going into it, I thought, I guess I expected that it was going to be rich people problems, but the fact that we're looking into this from Nick's point of view, who is the main character, he's a war veteran, working class, like he doesn't necessarily fit in with the crowd that Jay Gatsby surrounds himself with. And so that outsider perspective kind of gives you a glimpse into Jay Gatsby's life as sort of this imperfect man who Nick also is infatuated by. And I said in my review that you can take the term infatuation how you want it. I know what I think about Nick, and it made me enjoy him a lot more. Happy Pride. But yeah, there's so much symbolism in this book. Jay Gatsby's parties are extravagant, but at the same time, part of the allure of this book, I guess, is that there's so much mystery surrounding the most popular, most talked about man in town. It's like he has all of this wealth. He has all of these people who enjoy being in his company. What more does he want? And you have to figure him out. And like I said, from an outsider perspective, seeing his faults, his blips, where he kind of mishandles situations or doesn't necessarily know what to do. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting read. It also helps that it's short. It also helps that I listened to the audiobook and Sean Astin was the narrator. His voice was very clear and I was able to speed this book up even more. So it went from short to shorter. I gave The Great Gatsby 4 stars. And finally, the best book that I read in May, Aloha Everything by Kaylin Malia George. This is a picture book, but it is absolutely beautiful. I have not been so stunned ever by the illustrations of a picture book. And May Waite, who is the illustrator, who is also Hawaiian, Kaylin Malia George is too. Together, they created this beautiful, poetic work of art that I had considered giving to the library, and then I considered giving to my teacher friend, and now I'm just considering keeping it for myself because it's so pretty, and I do not want to go to the library. Well, I guess I take the dust jacket off anyway, but the dust jacket is so nice. If I were to pass this along to somebody else, I would have to at least keep that for myself because it just looks so good. Like I said, the writing is poetic. This is the story of a little girl who is learning more about her surroundings, the island of Hawaii, and just, I don't know, breathing in the environment that surrounds her. And it's wonderful. It's beautiful. But best of all, what I wish more picture books would do, there is a glossary at the end of this book that teaches, I was going to say children, but it teaches adults too, because I didn't know these words. Hawaiian words, the Hawaiian language. It's used throughout this book, along with the illustrations, to, really immerse the reader in Hawaiian culture. With the illustrations, the poetry, the terminology, everything came together in a nice, beautiful package. I keep saying beautiful, but it is. And then at the end, there's an educational element that's just so fun and so cute. This was, I believe, a Kickstarter campaign. I am so happy that it went through. There are only 112 ratings and 36 reviews of this book as of right now, me speaking on Goodreads. I really hope that this book picks up and that it ends up taking off and being more popular than it is, because it really truly is a work of art. I hope Kaylin Malia George continues to write. I really hope May Waite continues to illustrate. This is her calling. Or, if she has a gallery somewhere, I would like to go visit it. I know the price of art and I probably couldn't afford it, but looking is nice too. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this as one of my best reads of 2024, simply because of the illustrations and the poetry and the way that Kaylin Malia George incorporated education at the end. I just think all of it went so well together. And yeah, this is her first book, I think, or at least her first published book. At least that's what it says on Goodreads. And like I said, I hope she does more, because this was awesome. And with that being said, if you're interested in any of the books that I talked about today, their Goodreads links are in the description below. Click on those, head on over to the retailer of your choice to purchase them if you're feeling brave, or head on over to the local library or use your library app if they are available. If you enjoyed this video for whatever reason, do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, I've been Jim. You've been great. Happy reading.